Today is April 9th, 2026, and welcome back to Furniture Industry News, your quick and easy way to stay up to speed on what's happening across the furniture business. There's a clear theme emerging as we move through the first part of this year, and that's transition. Not collapse, not boom, just a steady reshaping of the industry. We're seeing it in retail closures, in new strategies for major players, in bedding innovation, and even in the broader economic data. So let's walk through what matters most right now. We'll start on the retail side because this is where the changes are probably the most visible. In just the first quarter of this year, 17 furniture retailers have either announced plans to close or have already moved toward liquidation. And what's interesting is the reasons aren't all the same. A big portion of these closures are tied to owner retirement. You've got long-standing family businesses like McKinstry's Home Furnishings, which has been around for over a century, shutting down after multiple generations. Same story with Young's Furniture in Maine and Bostic Sugg Furniture in North Carolina. These are not necessarily businesses failing, they're businesses where the next generation isn't stepping in. At the same time, there are definitely signs of financial pressure in the market. American Signature is liquidating its remaining stores following bankruptcy. Other retailers like Circle Furniture and Country Willow have filed for Chapter 7, which typically means full liquidation. Then you've got a middle group, stores closing because of changing economic conditions, real estate changes, or just a tough environment overall. One example that stands out is Furniture Factory Liquidators in Livonia, Michigan. This is a store with a deep family legacy going all the way back to 1911. The current operation has been running for about 19 years, and now it's closing as the owner steps into retirement after her husband passed away a few years ago. That story kind of captures what we're seeing across the country, a mix of personal decisions layered on top of broader industry pressure. So the takeaway here isn't just that stores are closing, it's that the structure of ownership in furniture retail is shifting, and that's something worth watching long term. Now, while some companies are exiting, others are clearly trying to reposition for growth. Bed Bath & Beyond is a good example of that. They've announced plans to acquire F9 brands, which includes businesses tied to cabinets, flooring, and home improvement categories. This deal is part of a bigger strategy to build out what they're calling a home services platform. The idea is pretty straightforward. Instead of just selling products, they want to guide customers through full home projects. That means combining product, installation, and financing into one experience. They've already been moving in this direction with other acquisitions, and this latest move continues that shift away from traditional retail into more project-based, higher-ticket categories. It's an attempt to increase both average transaction size and margins. It's also worth noting that there's still some uncertainty around what happens to Gracious Home within all of this. It's currently operating as an e-commerce business, and its role going forward hasn't really been defined yet. So on one side, you've got smaller retailers exiting, and on the other, you've got larger players expanding into new territory. That contrast says a lot about where things are headed. Let's shift over to the bedding category, because there's a different kind of energy there right now. At the recent Las Vegas market, mattress manufacturers showed up focused on one thing: innovation. The category has been in a bit of a slump over the past several years, and companies are trying to create momentum again through new products and materials. You're seeing a lot of emphasis on cooling technologies, natural materials, and new construction methods. Companies like Heirloom, Kingsdown, and Paramount Sleep are all leaning into that. At the same time, consolidation is still a major storyline. There's a potential acquisition involving Leggett & Platt that could significantly shift the competitive landscape. And we've already seen partnerships and asset acquisitions involving companies like South Bay, Cinemax, and Maloof. But what's interesting is how executives are reacting to that consolidation. There's definitely concern, but most are choosing to focus on what they can control, mainly product innovation and strong retailer partnerships. Another big shift in bedding is coming from digital native brands. Companies like Casper, Purple, Molecule, and Brooklyn Bedding are pushing further into physical retail. They've realized that online alone isn't enough, especially in a cautious consumer environment. People still want to try a mattress before they buy it. So these brands are building more selective partnerships with brick-and-mortar retailers, focusing on stores that can support education, storytelling, and premium positioning. For retailers, that creates opportunity, but also some complexity around how these brands fit into existing assortments. Now, stepping back to the broader industry,
The data coming into the year shows a market that's stable, but not exactly gaining momentum. New orders are basically flat compared to last year. Shipments are down, which suggests product is moving more slowly, and inventories are rising, which means goods are starting to build up in the pipeline. At the same time, receivables are up, which can indicate longer payment cycles, so there's a bit of pressure building beneath the surface. On the cost side, manufacturers are dealing with higher transportation expenses, rising material costs like foam, and ongoing supply constraints. All of that is making it harder to maintain margins. Consumers are also sending mixed signals. Confidence has ticked up slightly, but expectations for the future are still cautious. Inflation concerns and interest rate uncertainty are causing people to pull back on major purchases. But here's the interesting part. Furniture is still ranking as a top category for planned big-ticket spending, so the demand is still there. It's just more selective and maybe taking longer to convert. Housing is offering a little bit of support. Existing home sales have improved slightly, and affordability has been trending in a better direction for several months. But new home sales are down, and overall activity is still below pre-pandemic levels. So again, steady but not accelerating. And then finally, on the supply chain side, imports are down. Container volumes at U.S. ports declined in February, both month over month and year over year. A big driver of that is tariffs, which continue to create uncertainty and put pressure on global trade. Even though some tariffs have been removed, others are still in place, and new ones are being introduced. There's also some geopolitical tension affecting fuel costs, which could eventually work its way through to shipping costs and retail pricing. So when you put it all together, you've got an industry that's not in crisis, but definitely in a holding pattern.
Retail is consolidating, manufacturers are adjusting, costs are still elevated, and demand is there but cautious. It feels like the industry is waiting for clearer signals, whether that's from interest rates, inflation, or consumer confidence, before making any major moves. And in the meantime, companies are focusing on what they can control: better products, better partnerships, and smarter strategies. That's where things stand right now. If you want to stay in the loop on everything happening across the furniture industry, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next update.